hello. Welcome, welcome. Sorry, let me get this image out of the way. Hey, hello. Welcome. It's Isaya, and this is a new episode of my podcast of the special series that women don't talk about. And it's a series when I talk with someone and about things that we don't talk about. So today I'm talking with Tammy Braswell. Hi, Tammy. And our
Hi.
subject is selfish a dirty word? But before I go into the subject, let me remind I am, just in case you forgot. Sometimes I forget who I am. So I'm Isaya. I am an artist, a magical, pragmatic inspiration mentor and tech coach. I'm a goddess teacher, a traveling priestess, and I'm working with the Greek goddesses archetypes, facilitating retreats online. I'm also a tech spiritual online entrepreneurs. I help them untangle the tech and rock the online world while remaining sane, or at least trying to. So this podcast, this series is really dear to my heart, about discussing subjects that we seldom discuss, either because they are too mundane. I did have a special episode on bathrooms, or because they are too out there, too spiritual, too woo-woo, too crazy, or too taboo. We talked about death. We talked about sacred archetypes. We talked about very many things, menstrual blood. And with Tammy, today we're talking about selfishness. But before we go and talk about it, let me remind you who Tammy is. So Tammy is a former member of the Women Lighting the Way Summit, and that's where I met Tammy, and I was so happy to meet her. She is a high vibrational healer, an Akashic record expert, an energetic creation coach and teacher, and she is the creatrix or creator of new energy methods and techniques. She is the vibrational goddess of Create by Vibration. So if you want to get in touch with Tammy at any point, you will find her website above or below the video. Once this podcast episode becomes an audio, it will be shared everywhere where you can listen to podcasts. And again, you will find Tammy's information all around the video. So that's the promotional bit done. Let's talk about selfishness. Why is it something that I talk about? And is it is selfish a dirty word? So what do you gather, Tammy? Are we going to go for a straight no, or are we going to discuss it?
I think I grew up believing it was a dirty word to talk about being selfish. That you were somehow a bad person. I don't use these terms a lot, but or even a horrible person for wanting to prioritize yourself in your life and do anything that might actually fulfill you or be an expression of yourself that felt good. I grew up with women who family, children, husband, taking care of the house. That was
Agreed.
what you did. You were revered for that. That was a virtue. And
That was
anything
what you're supposed to do before, right? And then if time was left at some point, if you were not dead by then, after taking care of everybody around, I'm part Greek. And in Greece, the women start wearing black clothes once somebody dies in the family. So that can happen very young. And then they're supposed to keep the black every time somebody else dies. So some women start wearing black at age 2 when their great grandmother dies, and never ever put other clothes again, because there's always somebody else dying in the family, right? Remotely or not. And to me, that's really exactly what you're describing, right? First, everybody else, and then I disappear into this black outfit and kind of dedicate myself to the rest of the world. And maybe when everybody else is dead,
you can change your clothes. Yeah.
and I can take care of myself, basically. So yeah, we're going very much on the fact that it was childhood as well. And we've had very different childhoods, since you're from the US and I'm from Europe. So it's not just one one country, one place. General treating or general opinion around mostly women. Women are supposed to be the carer first, and then maybe.
Well, it's always said
But then,
it's better to give than to receive, which energetically, now that I understand energy and vibration and frequencies, it's a balance. So when we overgive, then we become depleted. And we're giving from like an empty tank. And you can't, if your cell phone is on no bar, no battery, you're not going to be making phone calls. The phone is dead. It's done. You have to recharge it. And so women, a lot of them, and I did watch like my grandmother, my great grandmother thing, females in my family that push themselves. They'd be sick and crawl out of bed, and they'd be like, okay, you just had surgery. You have one day to get better. And they just felt that way. Like they had to get up and push through the pain to take care of everybody else. And it's like, well, if she dies, you're all really screwed because now there's nobody. So give her at least a little bit more time.
But the thing is for me, the interesting thing when you say that is that those women did not seem to realize, and I think it will be still that we don't realize how much more energy we could have if we were to receive the energy at the time, or in due course, and not just after. So I can take care of myself if I can open up to receiving energy and raising my vibration. I would be so much more empowered to give, actually, because I'd have way more.
But I would think that we've been conditioned to be suppressed, to we hear dim our light and all of this. So it is like we're pressed down. You don't get to have that fullness. That's just not yours.
Yeah,
you help everybody else to a fuller level, but you stay here. You stay. And then that keeps us like in a spot where people feel safe. Like they know we're there and we're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
It's a form of bondage or, of keeping us in a spot. And it's just been conditioned that that's what you do, and then when a woman decides that she is going to self-prioritize, she becomes a bitch, she becomes selfish, she becomes, there's high frequency and low frequency, I found, to everything, right? So low frequency selfish is self-absorbed. Like you don't care what anybody else is doing. You're going to do your own thing. Screw the rest of the world. Then there's self-prioritizing selfish, where because I fill myself up, I have so much more to give and to share with everybody else. You can't give somebody the shirt off your back if you're naked, right? So,
being the traveling priestess, I have to go. My very favorite analogy is the airplane oxygen mask. Every freaking time that I'm on a plane, the flight attendant reminds us at every beginning of the flight that if you are supposed to be taking care of somebody, a child or an elderly person, you have to wear your own first. Because if you start by helping the other person, you will be dead before you reach to them to save them. They will die as well, and you will die. So basically it's like, okay. So, if they are definite and absolutely certain of that in airplanes, maybe we should start doing that in life, kind of.
It is pretty funny that, in an airplane do this, but everywhere else don't do it.
Yeah. No, I think but even the connotation on the word selfish participates in the brainwashing, basically, that we're going through it. So the fact that even the word has this like, and we're trying to find other words. Even you, I heard you say self-prioritize, because when you say selfish, there is a kind of a, can we say that? Kind of, can we dare?
Well, I think, again, it's like that vibration of understanding what selfish we're using, because I do use it. You have to be selfish, and then there's that taking a back kind of, people go, well, that and there's a level of guilt to it too. We've been taught feel guilty if you pick yourself. Feel guilty if you take more than 5 minutes in the bathroom to have a moment alone without a kid or a dog or somebody wanting something. I mean, I can't tell you how many women, you know, in my business, when I have my business or I introduce something or share something, they're like, well, you know, I don't have time. If I can find 5 minutes in the day to do that, I would love to, you know, do whatever you're offering, but I just have to do this and this. And then they get ill. So we can even move into the physical manifestation of what happens is illness. And I believe that many of the autoimmune deficiencies and issues that we now have are based in the fact that we are not selfish enough.
That's interesting. It might well be very, very true. We have Judy, who is watching us, and she tells a story that I would like to read for you. She says, I remember my granny would take to her bed. Thinking about it now, it was probably her period. Instead of celebrating that, we all tiptoed around. And she clearly knew she needed time to recharge, but she hid the thing. And yeah, even during their periods, women kind of power through and try to push through instead of owning I need some time for myself now because to be resting. And it's like, how much deconditioning do we need? You know, how much, and how can we do it also? Because I believe that the first moment I say to myself, okay, I'm going to be selfish, the guilt is so important that it kind of paralyzes me. So I have steps in finding ways to kind of cheat my own guilt person, and raising your vibration, obviously, because then I start to feel that it's, you know, I can see the results when my vibration is higher, when I'm filled with more energy, with more joy. I'm so much better at functioning in the world. I'm not ill. I'm not, you know, I don't have, and I have, do you say joie de vivre English?
No, not really. What's it mean?
So in French, joy of living. So it's kind of a spirit of life, that you have this idea that, life is fun and interesting. And I see so many women who don't have that, because they are overwhelmed with the things that they have to do, with the shoulds of life. And I think becoming selfish is actually the shoulds, or at least some of them.
But when our frequency is higher too, we're more tuned into what we need. So that's part of it, because you're more connected to yourself in those higher frequencies. And then you start paying attention like her grandmother did, that she had to go, you know, maybe that wasn't fully the concept of it at the time, but she took that time to go have a moment to herself to recharge. And, you know, anything with a menstrual cycle for women, menopause, any of those things, we're just supposed to go figure out how to do that. You know, women are just supposed to, we're looked at like, you just go figure out yourself over there, but don't let it affect anything over here. Nothing. Just go figure out whatever you got to do. We don't want to hear about it. We don't like to see you cry, or just go over there.
Yeah, I don't know about the US, but in France, the advertisement, the adverts on TV for menstrual products are still representing the blood as blue.
Oh, okay. Now ours are.
It looks like Windex, literally.
Oh,
it's like, sorry, this is 2023, right?
No, they're more open. They even do other commercials for other feminine products that are. You know, I mean, they definitely point to the area and do all that kind of stuff. So we've gotten better.
Getting better. Trudy mentions also that she has noticed that her kids are better at putting themselves first with less guilt or no guilt at all. So maybe the newest generations have less. Well, obviously, if I compare to my great grandmother in Greece, who was, you know, her life purpose was to care for others. And I think that she would have felt also useless, if she would have been told, no, you have to take care of yourself first. It's like, what am I
Well,
supposed to do?
yeah, well, we're
Mm.
not. They weren't taught. Women weren't taught to do anything like that for themselves. Even I think even hobbies like sewing and stuff were then directed towards making clothes for the family, or
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, they were a skill you should have so that you can do for others
Hmm.
through your skill of whatever that is. And I'm talking about my great grandmother. She died cleaning off the kitchen table. She had peas in one
Oh,
hand, so I've never forgotten about that from hypertension. I mean, if that doesn't say till the very last moment, I don't.
yeah, yeah. But I remember my mother-in-law, who is dead now, and she was kind of older, because my husband is older than me. And anyway, she told me repeatedly that when she was a child and teenager, her mother would literally beat the crap out of her when she found her reading, because reading was useless for a woman. Go and do something useful, knit some, cook something for somebody else, obviously. But read, she considered to be a life opening, mind opening activity, was forbidden. And she was literally, yeah,
Punished, physically punished for it.
punished for it. Yeah, physically punished. So we're talking 1930s, 40s, right? But
But
still,
still,
it's like,
don't you can't
sorry,
be more
what?
than this. You can't be more than this. Well, then when men went to war and women started to work and build the planes and things, I think even just the energy of people started looking at women again as more than masculine because we were doing stuff, and talking about goddess energy, that's the feminine energy. So then you become a bitch in the world because now you're showing up as this. If you choose yourself, that's what people consider you while you're being bitchy.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No, not.
I'm
No,
so
not. No man is considered an asshole just because he would prioritize himself, right?
broke, but it's called
I,
self-love. And even then we're confused about what that looks like because there's often people who say, well, I get my nails done and I get massages. There's a difference. That's external, I guess it's a form of self-love if you didn't do it before, but self-love is really caring deeply for yourself, your choices, start getting clear on what it is that you want to experience in life. Because like you said, even if they'd have told your grandmother, go have some time for yourself, she was not taught to think like she could have more than that. Or you get shut down reading, where reading helps you to have a bigger vision in life. Well, no, you can't have that. So you literally were like in a little prison of, I don't even know what to do beyond this, so this is all I
yeah,
can do.
exactly. Okay. Saying, hi, Deb. My mother never understood why I would want a career.
Yeah,
Why, in heaven's name, would you want a career? Right? And it's like, it takes time. I definitely think it takes generations, basically. And every generation, we raised our daughters differently, hopefully, and we get better at this. But it's also takes time in the course of what I can do to get out of this spiral of putting myself second to everything and everyone. And that's, for me, it took a while, and I'm not sure I'm still doing it. I got an offer this afternoon to do something in September, and I said, into my head, I said, obviously, but my son, he needs me. He's 27, for freak. It's like, he's 27 years old. I still have this. Maybe he needs me. So yeah, I think it's a daily task to learn and take time to journal. I don't know about you, but I journal a lot around what do I want to do. Kind of teach myself, who am I? What do I like? Asking a friend repeatedly. We were in our 20s. She said, "Do you want to?" I said, "Do you want to go to the movies. A female friend. She said, yeah, sure. I said, what do you want to see? And she was like, whatever you want. And I insist, no, it's not whatever I want. It's what do you want to see? And she was incapable of what she wanted to see. There were 5 movies.
I've met
She
a
just
lot.
had to,
Yeah, I've met
and
a lot of people who are still like that.
this incapacity to just know what I like, what I need, who I am, basically, the I don't know if it's a cause or the consequence of the unselfishness of women. They are completely turned towards the exterior, basically. They look outside, and there is no take time, energy to analyze to stay with yourself, basically. Because that's also, taking care of everybody else means you're in the corners of your own shit, also, right?
Yes. Well, I have
Because
that.
when you become selfish,
Now, when I started to do
sorry,
work, I support other women in this. I really felt that I had to step up for myself. So I do like you said, when I get with people and they'll be like, okay, let's go have dinner when the family gets together, we're all in one place. And you ask, where do you want to go? Everybody's like, well, wherever you want to go. You know what? I now just choose a place and say, this is where we're going. If you don't like it, you can give another option. If not, this is, and it shocks people. And when you do start prioritizing yourself, and choosing to be more selfish, it rocks the boat of the people around you because, whoa, wait a minute, what do you mean you're deciding this, or you're more clear on that, and more
absolutely,
confident.
it will upset people.
Yeah,
it will upset people around at first, and it's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you should keep going.
Another big part of it is permission to give our. I intuitively received a message years ago because I had somebody ask me about I taught a class, and the women kept asking me, well, what is it about guilt? They were older women, and they were all living from that place of guilt. So I intuitively asked and channeled that it's giving ourselves permission. We look for permission from someone else to say things that we do or choose are okay. And if they don't say what we'd like them to say, then we feel guilty if we make a choice based on what we want. So if we say, I give myself permission, which would be considered selfish in itself, give myself permission to choose this or to do this or whatever, the guilt falls away. I don't feel guilt anymore. I don't feel any guilt towards anybody because I've given myself permission to make choices that are best for me. And from that, everyone around me will benefit.
Yeah. The other thing is when you start playing by your own rules, some people will fall away from your life. Kind of, they will just disappear. And okay with that. We should all be okay with that, because basically, if people are around me just because I'm taking care of them, and that's the only reason, they are not interested in me. Besides, I was not interested in myself either, because I was so occupied to take care of other people. So first, people will fall away, and that's okay. People will get shocked, because also I remember the first few times that I have stepped my big foot and says, it means that the other people, or some other people, I was not very subtle, to say the least, because I was finding and I think that I'm becoming more subtle as I learn who I am. I also now I'm more okay to say, I want this. I'm still okay if I'm not getting it. Early on, when I started being selfish, I was panicking if I had dared say what I want and to do what I want, and then somebody was pushing back, because they are going to push back. I was panicking. Nowadays, it's okay. I'm more comfortable with knowing what I want. It's more important to me to know who I am and to know what I want and what I desire in life, even if I don't get it. even if at this precise minute, the universe, the person around does not say yes. That's all right. But I know it's not because I've silenced myself. It's because the circumstances are not here. But I think it's one of the things also that we is seldom discussed, and this might be a little triggering for people, so beware. When I say what I want, somebody might say no. And so I have to learn to hear the no. If I never have any desires, official ones, like spoken, well, then I never get a no, right? I get a general no, nothing ever happens for me, right? But I don't get a frank, direct, to my face no. And some women cannot deal with that no.
That's true.
So remaining unselfish also prevents them from getting this rejection, basically. Because once I know who I am and I've decided to take care of myself, I would like a massage, and my partner turns to me and says, yeah, well, fuck it, I'm not doing that tonight. Because, I'm not massaging your back tonight. And then I have to go with rejection, but that's all right. In fact, nobody dies if answered no. So that a circumstance that will happen also once I start taking care of myself first, who I am, and expressing my desire.
Well, I have to share that, or I would like to share that. When I really stepped into that for myself, I decided I have the expectation that I do always get what I really want. So if I don't get something that I want, that I think I want, then I really question whether I really wanted it, because I really do, having decided this and given myself permission and decided to be selfish in a most loving way for myself and whoever's participating in my selfish moments, is that I do get it. I have the expectation of a yes more than a no.
I agree. But I know deep down that if I was to get a no, nobody dies.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas before that, early on in my young age, rejection would have me crumble into a little pile of shit, basically. So I do think that yeses are all over the and there are way more yeses than nos, but now a no is not killing me anymore. Whereas it would have. So I'm not saying that it's the case for everyone, but that I believe it participates into this little construction of being so dangerous. Kind of.
Well, we like to keep ourselves safe, so we continue patterns that, even if they aren't the best feeling, they keep us safe in some way. That's if we see that we have a constant pattern in our life, in some way it provides a safety that maybe we just don't recognize what the safety is. And like I said, when I hear a no, and it's not that I don't get no's, then I step back and go, how much did I really want that thing in the first place? Because I believe if we really are tuned in and really want something, the yes will come, or we wouldn't have had that desire. But we get desires for things that it would be nice to have, but then when you really look at it and go, ooh, I'm glad I didn't get that, because maybe I really didn't want what came with it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, or something better. And if I had been in that one, then it's not everything is at the same time. Exactly. So no, and the beautiful turns out at the corner. But anyway.
And you say thank you for the no.
Yeah, absolutely. There are many I've said thank you for the no's as well. So what should we do, basically? Please teach. What should we do? What's the first step to own the selfishness or to become selfish?
I like it. I really feel like the first step is to give yourself permission to begin to be selfish, because then you're saying it's okay. It's okay. Maybe you're not doing it right away or in big ways. I mean, the boldness comes with time and with clarity and confidence. You have to get clear on what you want, because otherwise your energy, your frequency still kind of indicates that you're in that old I'm I'm going to stay in the unselfishness. So it's a progressive thing. But first, I would say if I didn't really been tuned into this years and years ago, I would say permission. Just give yourself permission to begin to let yourself have the things you want, get clear on what those are, and say yes to yourself more. It's not always about whether somebody else says yes or no. Are you saying yes to yourself?
I agree. So I would start with permission work, or at least thinking about the permissions. And then I would go for clarity, for really giving yourself permission to get this clarity on what you want. And then, saying yes to yourself. But first of all, get to know who you are, because there's so many of us that walk the world basically on who they are. And whether you do that or with psychoanalysis or journaling or whatever you want to do, but get to know who you are. And then this amazing person that you're meeting, needs your help, basically. I need my own help, and I need my own yeses. But it's an amazing journey. I don't think I'm finished with it. And I don't think I'll ever be. I don't think it's useful to be finished with anything, basically. But
it's called death when you're finished. When you're finished, you die. You don't need to be here anymore. So.
I agree. But the journey is so fascinating, and I can feel when I do that work that I am also healing a huge lineage of women behind me. That I am walking a path that many of them have not been able to, not been informed. And so I believe that it's also more than just me. So in a way, it's the complete unselfish thing to do, is to become selfish, because it's healing not only me, but behind, and of course, in front of me. So if I have children, or even if I don't, but the way I act in the world, the way I am in the world, is healing for not just me. So it's it's the most unselfish.
But you're also healing for other women, because when you stand up and recognize what you want, and you're more confident and clear in that, then it gives like a silent permission. Because we actually are always seeking permission. We've just been taught to seek it outside ourselves. And then you give a level of permission to the women around you to go.
And just, I'll have what she's. So it's for me, it's even more than permission there for our sisters or the women around us. It's just, I don't know, it's about showing up, basically, for myself and for anyone else to see that it's working. It's working. I am so much happier. I am so much more helpful as well for others when I am selfish.
And you're energized. You're not depleted by trying to overgive and being exhausted. Yeah. And Deborah said, lead by example.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words. We can say whatever we want, but if we don't have the action that backs it, it's not.
Well, I'm going to have to share something that is not mine. It's from one of my mentors, Joanna Hunter, and she has this beautiful analogy when we're talking about depletion and selfishness, and it's the bathtub analogy. So imagine your bathtub. So what is the fostering water, because you've turned everything on, right? So water is coming in, and that's the universe giving you everything abundantly all the time. But what you've done is you've left the bathtub open. So basically all the water is coming straight out, and you're giving it away to anyone. Now the suggestion is, what happens if I just close the bond, the thingy of the bathtub? Then the water piles up in the bathtub, and then it overflows. So the same amount that I end up giving, and even more, that I would give, but I'm sitting in a hot bathtub instead of sitting in a cold, empty bathtub, right? So it's not an either or situation. It's not either you're selfish or you are unselfish. Not either care for myself, others. It's both. It can be both. Yeah.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah.
And from our overflow, it's easier to share. And so again, it's important we
the oxygen mask in the airplanes. It's important we overflow. I love that. I'm going to have that on top of the screen. It's important to overflow.
I always say everything, overflowing abundance, overflow. I talk from that place. Not that cup half full or half empty, it overflows.
Well, because this is the thing about the universe. It's always giving. There is always more. There is always overflowing there. So if the universe leads by example, we follow the example, right? And we overflow as well. Mm-hmm. And no, selfish is not a dirty word, in case you were still wondering. And it's really interesting because
celebrate the word.
In English, there because I'm multilingual person, I always talk about languages, but it's really interesting. In French, the word selfish starts with the three letters ego, egoisme, ego, right? So it's selfish is over like egotism. It's too much ego, right? But in English, it's the word self. And the word self is used in so many other ways. So self-care, self-love, and it's really interesting that it's only in the selfish word that it's frowned upon. Let's put it this way.
We do use the word ego too. So.
Yeah.
And that usually, if somebody goes into the ego, being egoic or egotistical, then that's the selfish. That is what I call self-absorbed.
The low vibration one.
Yeah, it's self-absorbed.
The low vibration one.
About you. And that's a different, when you come from a place of love, the high frequency of love, everything you do is for you and then for everyone else. It overflows into that. You can't not be that way.
So would you have an example or something, a little hint that, what could someone do? Maybe something that we could do every day, remind ourselves that we should be taking care of self-prioritizing, as you said. I love that, self-prioritizing. So as you can see, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. As you can see or hear, if you're listening to this episode, these conversations are not very organized. We don't have a plan. And so I'm asking questions and Tammy has no prepared answer. So I'm talking. In the meantime, she makes up the answer, right?
Okay. So you may have heard of Louise Hay House Publishing. So she has mirror work. I think that's a great way to start. I didn't realize this, but when I was a kid growing up, I would stand for long periods of time and talk to myself in the mirror and have whole conversations of what I thought about the world. I mean, I think the best conversations I have are actually with myself. But it's to stand there and talk and be loving and tell yourself you're beautiful. It may take some of us who have a lot of anti-selfishness or unselfishness to be able to say that. But have conversations with yourself. Get to know you. Mm-hmm. And when you get to know you, then that's who you show to the world. And it's easier to show that part of yourself because you understand it. We function for other people because we don't know who we are. We know what we were told we should be and who we should be, and that's what we function from. But when you get to know yourself, and I think mirrors are fun to talk to yourself, get to know you, and then show that person out in the world.
Yeah. And I'm going to add, and fake it till you make it. Because the first time I did mirror work, I had to really, really breathe into it because I was so accustomed to me insulting myself, literally, shitting myself in front of every time I would pass a mirror, bad thing to say about myself. So the first thing when I said, okay, to myself, I have to do this mirror work thing, was to just stop giving myself. I did not allow myself to insult me anymore, then it was impossible to go straight to I love you. But at least I could stop being a hate.
Yes. Well, while you're sharing this, it came to me, a vision came to me. So, the cycle of giving and receiving, it's a full circle, and that's depletion is just giving. Well, we can just give and receive to ourselves by the mirror work. So you stand there as you giving yourself the love, and when you can say these things and then allow that part of you to receive. So you've got the whole balanced circuit, I call it, in yourself by giving and receiving for and with yourself, and then you can take that out into the way you live.
Absolutely. This is beautiful. For me, that also comes to remind us that we only have one channel. There is just one conduit, one pipe. So if this pipe is filled with me giving, come back, right? So it's literally about refinding this band. We can indeed have it alone in front of a mirror. Beautiful. Okay, so thank you very much. If anyone has a question, you can still ask a couple of questions if you want to, because we can read your comments. And I would like to remind you that you can find Tammy if you want to know more about her, about the amazing work that she does with the vibrational. I so love your website. So let me not, I'm going to say it's createbyvibration.com. I didn't want to say anything.
You helped create my colors and image on my header there.
I did, but the magic there before. I just helped put some more magic or some glitter on it. Thank you very much. That was an amazing session. I agree with Deborah, who says it was a brilliant session. I agree. And if this is the session that you guys needed, or the podcast that you guys or you ladies, beautiful women in the world, needed to be reminded that you have to start becoming selfish today, well, use that. It's going to be a replay. It's going to live on my podcast forever. To it again and love the fuck out of yourself, basically. And you'll see how much more joy and you'll have, basically. Thanks very much, Tammy. That was awesome. I hope you had it.
Thank you. I did. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who's listening and questions and comments. And
absolutely. So yeah, you can find the replay of this on my podcast. Will live forever with every information you want to learn about Tammy under or over the videos or the audio somewhere. Thank you very much. I will be back next month with another guest. I don't remember yet if I have a guest, but I'll tell you when I get there. For now, it's still August. So, and by the way, sorry about the delay. Last week we were in conversation, but I had no internet due to a crazy heat wave happening in the south of France, which has now completely finished.
Well, we're in the energy, so hey, that's a bonus.
Yeah. The magic once in a blue moon, and that's today. Thank you very much, Tammy. I'll see you around. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.